Hello, everyone, and welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 146. Andrew Eisen here, along with Zachary Knight. Hello, Zachary.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everybody out there.
Hello, all. So,
Yes.
I saw Brightburn this morning.
Oh, did you? What'd you
Yeah.
think?
Um, it's there's some good gore in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's about it, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, that might be enough. It's almost enough for. I mean, I'm not sad I went. I didn't think it was $6.99
Yeah.
uh, frivolously spent, or because I do like me my gore films. But I guess I was just expecting more from it. You're aware of the basic premise of the film, right? Whoops, you took your headphones off.
I'm going to have to be right back.
All right, no problem. So, to lovely chat, the basic premise of Brightburn is: what if Superman, but a sociopathic murderer? What essentially, what if a sociopathic murderer had all of Superman's powers, flight, strength, laser eyes, things like that? Ooh, intriguing, right? Yeah. Unfortunately, the film has nothing interesting to posit or say or conclude beyond that initial question. You get Zods is the try. So yeah, essentially, what if Zod just showed up on Earth and that was it? He'd he'd spoilers. Okay, so the movie left me a bit wanting. Um, it's the movie feels like it kind of lost some stuff in the editing room. I don't think anything was lost that would have really changed my opinion of the film, but there are a couple just there's one really super huge jump in logic at one point where a police officer goes, "This and this, it's that kid," and you're like, "What? How did you jump to that conclusion? That makes no sense." And there's like two characters in the film that just disappear. I guess they're okay, and they never mention them again. And it feels like there was a scene where the cop goes, "This and this because of this," but that was cut out of the movie. And the two characters, it feels like there were probably more scenes with them at some point, but they got maybe not. I don't know, but it feels like a movie that was like, this movie is unsatisfying, so we should probably chop it down to 90 minutes. Um, Again, I didn't feel I wasted my time or money going to see it, but yeah, I was expecting a bit more. Uh, Maybe they'll do a sequel and it will be all the first should have been. Okay, I'm
All
done talking about Brightburn now.
right. All right. Now, I saw the new Aladdin this week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually spoke to my sister earlier today. She saw that too, and
I think
Will
it's
Smith can't sing.
yeah. I don't know. The singing was all right. Not as good as the animated film,
Mm.
but I thought I thought it was one of the better live action Disney films that I've watched,
Hmm.
like the remakes. Um, they changed the story just enough that it felt like a new Aladdin movie and not just a rehash of what they did
Yeah.
in the animated one. So
Yeah, I'm certainly
sorry, I'm
more
a little out of breath.
I'm certainly more curious about Aladdin than I am about Lion King because, according to the promotional footage, the trailers and such so far, it's a shot-for-shot remake.
Yeah,
It may not be, but that's
yeah,
what they're advertising it as now. This is simply a live action, and by live action we mean
3D
CG. I
animated.
mean, I don't know why they're calling it live action because it's
It's
not
not.
at
Yeah,
all.
Yeah, with the Aladdin one, it's like one of the big changes you notice is that the first 30 minutes of the animated film are condensed down to 10 minutes in the live action one.
Mhm.
So most of the movie is after Aladdin gets the lamp, and not that 30 minutes of him before he gets the lamp.
Hmm.
There's also another big change is that they get rid of the whole Jafar goes, disguises himself to convince Aladdin to go to the thing. It's like that was
Oh, that's right.
I always felt that was a completely pointless exercise. They just kind of did that so that it wasn't revealed immediately to Aladdin once he got to the palace that Jafar was the bad guy. But
Hmm.
with this one, they just said, screw it. Jafar is the one who recruits him. Yeah, he kidnaps Aladdin and forces him to go there, but he has no qualms about Aladdin knowing who he is, because he's going to be killing Aladdin anyways, as far as Jafar's concerned. But he doesn't, of course. But
So I listened to 3 songs from the officially released soundtrack,
yeah,
all the Genie songs, "Friend Like Me," "Prince Ali," and "Arabian Nights," and they are all shockingly bad. Um, the singing is very substandard, and the sound mixing is wrong. Not just
yeah,
bad, just wrong. And I was thinking about that.
and
I
those are
think,
the three Genie songs
yeah,
too,
and
which
I have to, and
yeah,
I think, do they were they contractually obligated to use Will Smith's singing voice? Is that what happened here? And they're like, okay, it's bad. All we can do is bury the vocals in the mix, and that's why the sound mixing is wrong.
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know,
I think some of the problem is these songs were written specifically for Robin Williams, and
yeah,
Will Smith is not Robin Williams. He has a completely different um, uh, style and delivery and timbre. Um, just and it doesn't work in the songs that were specifically written for Williams. And I'm boring the hell out of Zachary because he keeps leaving.
no, it's just people keep interrupting me. It's like I told everybody I'm getting on my podcast, and everybody wants to interrupt me. So
I had a,
yeah.
I thought having a family, they just, respect my time and space and leave me alone.
Yeah. But but as far as the
But overall,
I
as a
felt
film, what'd you think?
overall as a film, I thought it was a pretty good film. Disney wise. It's like it's not gonna win any Oscars. At least, well, it might win some, or it
Yeah.
might get nominated for soundtrack or something like that. But it's not like a fantastic film, but it definitely holds its own against the animated original. The Cinderella one and the Beauty and the Beast ones. Those are the only other ones that I've seen. I think those are
Cinderella.
the only. Yeah, they did a Cinderella live action
Did they?
remake. Yeah,
Oh yeah, they did.
yeah,
I
and I didn't like either of those. I felt they were not really necessary, and specifically Cinderella. I thought that the things that they altered for the live action version were told better in other films, like Ever After with Drew Barrymore. Um, that's a Cinderella one,
Oh,
and
I'm thinking of what is it, Enchanted? I'm like, it was Amy Adams. What are you talking about?
no,
That's Enchanted or something
yeah,
like that.
but Ever After had Drew Barrymore, and they took it. It felt like they took some of the story beats from that
Wait,
film
is
and put
Angelica
it in.
Houston and like Doug Ray Scott in that one? Is that the one?
I don't know. I only remember Drew Barrymore. But yeah, I didn't feel like anything came out better than the animated Cinderella and any other Cinderella movie out there in that one. And then the Beauty and the Beast one was just a shot for shot remake with some stuff shoved into the
Some
middle
tweaks
of
and
it.
additions here and there.
Yeah, and none of the additions to that one really helped the story any, and so. yeah, it wasn't all that great. But this one, I think the big changes they make are, like I said, they condensed down the first 30 minutes of the animated film into 10 minutes of the original, or in the live action remake, and then they get rid of the stupid Jafar disguises himself thing, and then Jasmine, they give her a little more autonomy. Like in the animated film, she was just basically the prize at the end. It wasn't She didn't really have any character arc of her own. In this one, she actually is an intelligent person. She has an ambition to become Sultan herself, because it's like, why can't I be Sultan? Why does somebody who's not even from this country have to marry me so they can become Sultan? That's the kind of thing that she's going through, and I thought that was a pretty good characterization for her situation. It's like it actually gave her a personality that was worthwhile paying attention to. And she had her own song, which she does a pretty good job with. And she has a handmaid now, which I thought was I guess a good. She was a good character, like to be a sounding board for Jasmine as her her character, and she was also very funny on her own. But it felt more like she was just there to be a foil to the genie rather than anything else, which was kind of not really a foil in somebody opposed to the genie, but just somebody for the genie to fawn over, and
Oh,
yeah, and, but overall, I thought the changes they made were good.
Aladdin
Uh,
wished for my freedom because he wanted to go on a date.
pretty much at the end, he was just like, oh, okay, I get to go on a date now.
Woo.
um but yeah, but like you said, the Will Smith songs were all pretty. They weren't as good as the originals, and they were
Handmaid
the
doesn't replace Raja Jasmine's tiger, does she?
no, Jasmine's
Oh, thank
tiger
God.
Raja is still in there, and
Oh,
he
good.
does basically what Raja does
Would have ruined the
in the
movie.
animated one. She's there more as an actual person for Jasmine to sound off, have a
Which
sounding
is
board
kind of
with. But
interesting because in musicals, that issue is solved typically by just bursting into song.
which Jasmine does. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty good film. If you liked the original animated Aladdin movie, you'll probably like this one.
Okay.
If you didn't like the original animated Aladdin movie, there's probably not anything in this one that's going to make you love it. Like,
Probably nothing in this world that you like, honestly.
yeah.
Doesn't like
So,
Disney's Aladdin from 92 or 3,
yeah,
whatever.
whatever it was. Yeah. Yeah, it's Aladdin is one of my favorite animated Disney films,
That's a
just
lot.
of that era. I think I still like some of the other. I'm trying to think what other animated films from that era I do like. I think Aladdin's kind of the only one because it's the
Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, and Little Mermaid are usually the big three, and Lion King.
yeah,
But I still
Lion King. Yeah,
Lion
but
King.
I think I liked Aladdin just because it was more. It wasn't a princess movie. It wasn't a Disney princess movie. I think that's probably why I liked it.
Hmm.
Um, I'm actually a big fan of the films released in uh, that era where Disney was just kind of not sure where it wanted to go, and so it just kind of threw everything out there that it could. With a Black Cauldron, um, the Rescuers, the Great Mouse Detective, all that kind of stuff. I like those films, and it's just because they're more action oriented films and fantasy and that kind of stuff, and I think that's why I liked Aladdin. But yeah.
Not as many full cast talking animal movies of late.
Yeah, we don't have very many talking animal movies. I didn't like Aristocrats or Aristocats. That one.
Well, I mean, it's got some
Yeah,
nice design in it, but it's not really a great movie, and I don't even
yeah,
remember it that well anymore.
yeah. It's one of Disney's low
But
points
hey,
as far
they're
as I'm
they're
concerned.
they're doing a live action version of Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. I'm just like, why? What's the point?
Make money.
Yeah,
But
pretty
I mean,
much.
Aladdin is. I don't know when you pull Lady and the Tramp out of the vault, does it sell? Maybe I don't know. I
I don't
have
know.
nothing against it. It's fine. Go
Yeah,
ahead. Probably gonna have to rework the Siamese cat scene.
probably.
Yeah,
Your
maybe
Siamese,
maybe it's
please. Yeah.
yeah, maybe it's not cynical.
Yeah.
Cynical money making on Disney's part. Maybe they're just going back and correcting all the mistakes of the past. It's like, yeah, we did a racism do over. Let's make it again, just
Yeah.
without the
Well, and that's
racism.
one of the things I liked about the Dumbo was just that they pretty much
Exactly.
just redid that entire film. They got rid of all the racist bits. They they turned the last 10 minutes of the animated Dumbo into the actual Dumbo movie, and which was nice. And
So at some
yeah,
point, they're gonna remake a Song of the South, right?
that would be interesting to see if they attempt that. But I think that's just one of those things they just kind of pretend doesn't really exist.
I
Yeah,
I would love to see an attempt to rework Song of the South to just not be racist. I want to see that version of the. I want to see what you do with it. How much do you have to change? Because to be fair, I honestly don't remember a lot about. I remember Zippity Doo Dah, and I remember the
that's pretty
cartoon.
much the only thing anybody ever remembers because that's
Yeah,
the only real bit of it that can be marketed without being overtly racist because it's an actually good song. It's
yeah.
and so
When I saw it, I was really young, um, which is probably obvious because it hasn't been available for a long time. So,
yeah,
um, I was not. I was way too young to really recognize uh, racism or racial stereotypes and um, uh, slurs and things like that. That
yeah,
took as a very small child, you just take everything at face value, and it's just a funny live action animation hybrid about a fox, a bear, and a rabbit with some other dude singing zippity doo dah.
yeah,
It just doesn't connect when you're that young. I mean, kind of like when I was a single digit aged child of the 80s, and I watched Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Cassandra Peterson's character. I loved her, but not for the reason kids 10 years older than me liked her. I I remember seeing Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, the movie she released in, God, 88, 89, something like
yeah.
that. And there are so many boob jokes, and I didn't get any of them. There are so many body and sex jokes and double entendres and innuendo in that movie. And as an 8 or 9 year old, or however old I was when I saw the movie, nope, just was nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I don't know if that's just a thing with children or if I was a particularly dense child, because it's not subtle. I have since seen the movie and I'm like, oh, huh. I'm
Yeah,
seeing a side of this movie I've never seen before.
yeah,
So anyway, all right, let
yeah.
us get to topics because we have several today, and we're probably not going to get to all of them. But first,
No.
let us move emails because my sister's emailing me about new kittens at the kitten rescue. So I'll have to look at that later. Yay, kittens! I'm also house sitting for a friend in a couple of weeks, and basically it's just please feed my cats and pet my cats. That's all you got to do. I'm like, I can do that. So first topic, the Ouya, and Zachary is our resident Ouya expert.
Yes, I am
So
because I actually got one.
now the Ouya is going to die soon, which came as a surprise to me because it had brought smiles to so many children's faces. Uh, well, no, but because I had just kind of assumed it had been dead for the last 3 years. So
Yeah,
Zachary, is the Ouya still alive? Is it alive to kill? Can you kill the Ouya?
yeah, you can. I actually, it's mine has been in a box for probably the last year and a half or so, just because never got around to hooking it up. But it but I plugged it in a few weeks back and hooked it up to a spare TV we have, the one that I have my NES Classic on, and the store is still up. You can still buy stuff and browse it and play your games and everything, and I thought, so I was just like, cool, it's still around. But yeah, like Razer bought it back in 2015, and they took they made a few promises, to keep it alive, to keep the hardware going, and to honor the games funds that they had to pay out, that Ouya promised to pay out, that sort of stuff, and then we never heard anything from them again. Razer just kind of went silent on it. I don't know exactly what their plan was in the beginning, but
Razor
they
even alive to actually kill the Ouya?
yeah.
I didn't know Razor was still around. I hadn't heard from them either.
Well, I see Razer hardware at Walmart all the time. Like they have keyboards and mice and headphones and that kind of stuff. So I knew Razer was still around. But they also bought the Mad Catz Mojo, or maybe
Wait,
they own
was
Mad
that a
Catz. I don't know.
storefront or was that the company?
That was the Mojo was like a handheld or something, I
Oh,
think.
okay.
Like an Android based handheld or something
Yeah,
like that. I
Razor
forget
put their
exactly
money on
what it was.
a lot of winners, didn't they?
Yeah, because they're killing the Mojo and Forge TV. I don't even know what Forge TV is. I never even heard of that one.
Another
Um,
winner, no doubt.
yeah, but they're killing all three of those things this in the next month. So I was just kind of taken aback.
Razor is like the Electronic Arts of game hardware. Everything they acquire just dies.
Well,
Granted
I,
that
I
they
think
kill it, but
I don't know if so much they're the Electronic Arts. I think they're just kind of the Atari at this point. It's like they buy a bunch of stuff and then don't do anything with it. But Electronic Arts at least bleeds things to death. They get all their money's worth out of them before they eventually kill them. Razor just never did anything. So yeah, I was just very surprised to get the email. I was actually laying down for bed and I just thought to check my email, and I got this email from Razer, and it's like Forge TV and Ouya shutting down, and I'm like, what? But yeah, I was very surprised a couple of weeks ago when I saw that the storefront was still up. I was just like, oh, cool. The only thing I'm really worried about is any of the games that I have, because I actually bought a few games on there. Back in the heyday of the Ouya, so I'm kind of worried if I will lose access to those games, because I know a few of them require a server check
hmm.
to to verify that you own it, so
I
that
think
they
they
don't
said
just lock it at the
you
demo
have
con.
to all your games you have to download them locally or it's
The
out
the
on
Ouya is a
your
little bit different, because they mention in their FAQs. Will I still be able to play games on the Ouya? It says you will be able to play games via the Ouya platform until June 25th. Once it has been shut down, access to the Discover section will no longer be available. Games downloaded that appear in play may still function if they do not require a purchase validation upon launch. Contact the game developer for confirmation. So any of the games that require that server validation, if they're not patched, will likely try to ping the server, not be able to get it, and so lock you to whatever the demo content was.
Hey,
And
developer,
that would kind
remember
of
that game you
suck.
made 4 years ago that didn't sell and you haven't done anything with? We need you to do a patch. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to get a lot of patches to fix that.
Yeah, I'm sure, but the main one I'm concerned about. Well, I guess there's a couple of games that I would be concerned about, but the main ones are uh, Towerfall,
Mm-hmm.
which
On other platforms now, though, right?
yeah, it's on other platforms, but I still have it on the Ouya,
Still, I don't want to
and
play it again.
yeah, and then some games from Juicy Beast. That was one of my favorite developers on there. They made a few games that I got and I really liked, like Nightmare Tower and Toto Temple Deluxe were two games that I got that I really enjoyed. And then I guess the only other one that I would really care about would be Freedom Fall, which was a cool game where you start out at the top of a tower and you have to work your way down through a bunch of death traps, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that game. And I wouldn't mind keeping all of those and not being locked to the demo content. But yeah. But I'm not surprised that the Ouya is shutting down. I was just kind of taken aback because I thought I wasn't aware that Razer was doing anything with it anyway. So I guess they just got tired of keeping the servers up and running. So yeah.
Yeah. The Ouya was what, $99 when it.
Yeah, it was $100 for the system and one controller, and then I think the controllers were $20 or $30. I forget how much they were, but yeah, it was just one controller. So
I hope so. Do you feel you got your money's worth out of the Ouya?
oh yeah, well, I got my money's worth out of it within the first year of owning it.
Okay.
I think I think it was well worth the what I paid for it. The games that I got for it were fun, and yeah, I wouldn't have mind. Yeah, I would have loved to have seen Ouya succeed enough where they felt like they could release an Ouya 2, but that never happened. But it would have been nice to have seen them expand. I think if they came out with if the Ouya was released today with the market we have with the NES Classic, SNES Classic, the Genesis Mini, that kind of stuff.
Micro consoles are kind of the new hotness, sadly.
Yeah, I think if it were released today, it would have been better received. Just because these other micro consoles are they're locked down to specific games, but the Ouya you could get new games for it and that kind of thing. But yeah. Only console you ever sold back, huh? Yeah, it had its flaws, but for what it was, I thought it
Controller
succeeded.
specifically, I recall.
Yeah, the controller was the biggest flaw, and that one, that
Like
and that's
like they didn't drill big enough holes for the physical buttons, and they kept getting stuck in the case.
yeah, that was one of the issues. Was the holes for the buttons were too small, and the buttons kept getting stuck under the faceplate. And the other one was connectivity issues, where the Bluetooth, yeah, the controller to the console, they they would become unpaired frequently. They fixed both of those issues. The faceplate one was easy to fix because all they did was ship you a new faceplate and you just stuck that on. But the connectivity issue was if you got one of those controllers and you didn't get the chance to return it and get a new one with a better broadcast antenna or Bluetooth antenna, then you're kind of screwed. But but yeah. So
Well, rip Ouya. But
yeah,
let us move on to talk about a new console, a pretender to the throne of Ouya from oh god, what's the name of the company? I gotta look at my who Panic, the folks
panic.
at,
Yeah.
Firewatch. Uh, they said, hey, you know what? Let's do a console, and it's called Playdate, and apparently it's coming out in the next couple of months. And
Yeah. I said
it's a little mini handheld console that has a physical crank on the side. It looks essentially like a Game Boy, just a bit thinner, not as 80s bulky. So it's got a plus pad, it's got an A and B button, and then it's got a crank on the side. And the display is black and white. And if I'm reading the announcement correctly, it comes with 12 games installed, but they unlock one a week or something like that.
I don't think they're all installed at the beginning. It's just
Well, is
you
it
buy it and it's a subscription. And I think it just downloads
so does
them
it
as
connect
they're
to the
releasing
internet?
them. I'm assuming, yeah.
Because
Uh,
is this is so. This is
it,
Nintendo levels of weird. Panic is trying I think, and I kind of admire him for that. This is that weird, goofy Nintendo thing that you'd expect from Nintendo. Like,
yeah,
what even? Who would want a crank on the side of a handheld? Why?
yeah.
There's
When I
only
saw
12
that,
games, and you're going to dole them out week by week. What?
yeah,
Really? And it's a black and white display, and it's $150.
yeah, the price point is where it kind of kills me. But the crank thing, when I saw the crank, the first thing I thought of was the one laptop per child. Do you remember that?
The Raspberry Pi.
No, no. There was a program called One Laptop Per Child, and it was these things. It's like you bought one, and then the company that released them or sold them would send another one to a kid in Africa or some other third world country. But it was basically just a miniature laptop, had a black and white screen and a crank on the side to power it. And just you
Or
cranked it to charge the
a household
battery,
that did
and
not have an electrical outlet? Huh.
no, it didn't, because they were sending it to third world
Right.
countries that
Oh, that's
where
interesting.
electricity wasn't as readily available, and so it had a crank on the side that powered it. And so that was the first thing that I thought of when I saw that crank. I'm like, are they seriously going to have you crank to power this thing up? But no, the crank is actually just part of the controller. Some
Yeah.
games use the crank as one of the actions, and so that was kind of neat to learn that. But it
I'm
still took me
certainly
by
interested in seeing
surprise.
how some games incorporate the crank. I like how they specifically point out that the crank is optional. Some games use it, games,
Some don't.
some don't. Some exclusively use it, some partially use it, some don't use it at all.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay. But they seem to be saying like the first 12 games are like season one. It's like, okay, so how much is season two? And
Yeah.
because this seems like a really odd model. This, I'll be honest, what we know so far, I have absolutely no interest in this thing. I like not even the furthest inkling of an intention of picking this thing up because I have very selective taste, and it's like oh, these 12 games. Well, what if I don't like them? What if I only want one of them? I don't want to pay for 12 games when I only like two of them. Um, and who knows if I'll like anything from season two? When's season two coming out? And uh, on the other hand, it looks like it's more portable than a Switch as far as ease of portability. But then
Yeah,
again,
it's
we've all
pretty
got phones.
small. Yeah.
You can put games on phones. Granted, the phone don't have a crank, but uh, phone also doesn't have a plus pad or buttons. So, um, you know, but the black and white screen and I'm guessing no cartridge slot. So
Yeah.
I guess it has to hook up to the internet somehow to get some type of season two games.
Yeah.
Because
The
otherwise, if
black and
they
white.
were on there, someone would crack the all 12 games on day one.
Yeah. I think the screen is actually kind of an interesting idea because we're so used to color screens on our phones and on our game systems and everything, and this is just kind of it requires the game developer, for one, to think about visual design in a different way, because very few people these days really think about black and white games. I know there's some people out there that take part in like the Game Boy Jam
Sure.
and that kind of stuff, and they like those kind of restraints. But this one is a little bit different because you're stuck with literally two colors. or LED or LCD on and LCD off. Those are your two colors, and that's something that's going to require developers to think creatively. And looking at some of the games, they're using it to pretty good effect as far as I can tell.
Sure. Well,
But
it's much higher resolution than, say, the game.
yeah, it's definitely a much higher resolution. You're not looking at a Game Boy size screen, which was 138 by 144 pixels, I believe. This one is pretty high resolution. It's not HD, but
Yeah,
it's big enough that you can
I
make
don't
some
mind that it's
pretty
black and white.
graphics.
I just $150 sounds like literally double what this thing should cost.
Yeah,
At
and
least
that's something that
from
they
what they've told us so far. With what they've told
yeah.
us so far, I'm thinking like a $69.99 kind of device.
Yeah, and that was something that they responded to. Somebody asked them why 150, and their response was, "We're paying for this out of pocket."
So
And
am I,
if
buddy.
and but they said if they went any lower, they're basically going to lose everything that they spent on it. Like they would
Well,
lose
okay.
money off of it, and that makes
Fair enough.
sense. But
That's what it
it's
costs.
still
That's what
kind
it
of
costs.
it's still kind of annoying because
But
for
if no one's willing
150 I
to
could
pay it,
go and yeah, for 150 I could go and buy a 2DS,
yeah,
and I wouldn't get 12 games, but
it'll
the
be interesting
2DS
to see
comes
if
with Mario Kart or new super or not new Super Mario Brothers, Mario Maker. You can
mm,
get either of those games with the 2DS. But yeah,
it'll be interesting to see probably at E3 if the hardware rumors are true and Nintendo has a new version of the Switch that is a cheaper, meant to only be portable. You remember that rumor?
yeah.
The portable only Switch. Man, if that's closing in on the $150 mark, oh, Playdate, I don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah, but I
I
think
mean, I'm
I
kind of
don't think
rooting.
they're
I have no
trying
interest in it,
to.
but I am rooting for it
Yeah,
because it's, a what is it? A disruptor.
yeah,
It's coming from an unexpected place. It's got a weird crank on it. I kind of
yeah.
dig that.
Yeah, and I think the idea behind this is that they're not trying to compete with the 3DS or the 2DS or mobile phones or anything like that. They had a bunch of money and they were like, what can we do with all this money? Let's make a console, but let's make it different and see how the reaction is, see what people think. I doubt they're planning on creating this thing as a permanent feature of of their um, their portfolio. They'll probably sell this first run, maybe do a second run of it if it does well, and that'll be it. But yeah,
I would one day love, absolutely adore, looking at my bank balance and saying, "What am I gonna do with all this money? I've got all this money just sitting around. What should I spend it on? Yeah,
yeah,
should I make a video game? That would be lovely." Instead, I look at my bank balance. It's like it's the opposite thing. It's like you look at your bank balance to make sure you have the money to cover the things you need.
yeah, pretty much.
Like, okay, here's my rent and here's my utilities bill. Let's go into the okay. We're gonna push that to the next paycheck. Nah,
Yep.
I'm not paycheck to paycheck. I'm fine. Don't
Yeah.
worry, peoples. I'm okay. And I'm thinking maybe I'll get a promotion and a raise here sometime this year or this fiscal year or the by 2030. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
So,
All right.
all right. So, play date. I I like the name Playdate. That's a good
Yeah,
name for a
it's a
console.
good
I like
name. Yeah.
that rather than handheld X or something like that, or the
Yeah. What
panic
was that? There was some Linux handheld basically a Linux handheld computer. But it was just like a serial number style name, and yeah, not very catchy at all.
Playdate.
Yeah,
That's good.
Playdate is
I
good.
like that. I approve. I don't
Yeah,
quite
it
$50
feels.
approve. But oh, and the crank also folds in on itself, so it folds flush to the system, so it's not like catching on your pocket as you put it in and out. So it's. I wish them the best. I may have no interest in the product personally, but I do wish Panic the best of luck with this
Yeah,
because I appreciate the wacky gumption. So,
yeah.
and trying something different is always cool. Okay, so let us move on. And our next topic is, hey, uh, what do you do when you make a bad Terminator film? Make another one. What do you do when that one sucks? Make another one. What if that one's really bad though, and like kills the entire franchise dead? Well, don't let that stop you. Make it again, but bring it, but put Jim Cameron's name on it, so people will come see it this time.
Yeah.
Look, James Cameron and Linda Hamilton and Schwarzenegger love us, please love us. You know,
Oh man,
in all serious though, the trailer for Terminator Part 6. What is this now? This is
I
6,
think
right?
it's 6. 'Cause there
Although
was
it's not called
Terminator
that.
1, 2, 3. There was
Salvation,
Salvation,
Genesis, which
Genesis.
was spelled wrong, and then
Yeah,
this one, which is Dark Fate.
yeah. And then you
Which
had the TV show.
Sarah Connor Chronicles, which was actually good and got canceled right when it was getting really interesting. Darn
Yeah.
it. So this is apparently a follow-up to Terminator 2. I guess it kind of ignores.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a reboot to the sequels.
What it sounds
Yeah.
like from the trailer, which came out yesterday, day before, something like that, is
Well, came out 2 days ago, 3 days ago,
it
two or
looks
three
like
days. Yeah.
it's not like an alternate reality. Like all the time shenanigans have fractured reality into multiple timelines, and this is another one where Sarah Connor is actually some other person in this timeline, and they have to protect her. Something because she has a line. She's like, "You're why do we have to protect? Because she's me, or something like
I
that."
was her once, or
I was
something like
her one.
that.
And I
Yeah.
don't know. And it's interesting because she could mean that literally or figuratively, and I'm
Yeah,
not sure at
it's
all.
yeah, it's not. I'm not sure at all either. It's like my one tweet that I made after watching this was, you know, a new Terminator trailer came out. Does it look good?
Nah.
Maybe. Trailers can be deceiving. Is the trailer fun? Yes, it
Sure.
is. Do I know anything about the movie? Not any more than what the general plot of Terminator movies are. Robot goes back in time to try to kill somebody. Somebody else comes back in time to try to protect them,
Yeah.
and then that's basically it. Who's the girl they're trying to protect? No clue whatsoever. Uh, it's weird. Yeah, I'm just not at all sure what's going on in this, but I am kind of curious because I enjoyed the first two Terminator movies. The
Yeah,
rest of them,
I
I
enjoyed 3. I enjoyed parts of 3. 3 actually got interesting at the like ended where I wanted it to start. I'm like, ooh, and then they never really followed up with that.
yeah,
Um,
but Genesis
Gabriel,
was just
that's
bad.
Gabriel Luna, I think his name is, as one of the Terminators, and he was not Daredevil, Ghost Rider on the Agents of Shield, and I think
Okay.
he's going to be playing Ghost Rider in an upcoming Disney Plus. Is that what it's
Plus,
called?
yeah, Disney Plus service. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I recognize him, and then someone else said, "Oh my God, that's Mackenzie Davis." I'm like, who? I don't know who that is, but she's the good Terminator ish kind of person.
Kind of person. Yeah, I do like the bad guy Terminator. Just the concept of him. He's the uh, the robot skeleton with a liquid skeleton or liquid Terminator
So he's some form of TX.
combined. He's some form of combination of
Because
a
that was
regular
Tatiana
Terminator.
Logan's Terminator in Part 3, just the regular metal endoskeleton Terminator, just with the liquid metal on top. But this guy, this one seems to have a new gimmick where
It can
detach
separate the
all of
two,
the
the
liquid metal
liquid.
and create a doppelganger of itself,
Yeah,
which
so
is
you have the robot skeleton and then the liquid metal guy and running around. That's kind of that is an interesting concept, and something that I would love to see how they incorporate that into the action to make it more fun to watch. A different threat, because T-1000
just
was
purely liquid metal.
was purely liquid metal, and he was a really excellent villain. He was, he was a huge, a hugely, a big threat and outclassing the classic Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator, and I really didn't like the Terminators from 3 so much, just because they were trying to do some kind of combination of the two, but kind of failed at it, I guess. I guess it was more of like a nanotech or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
It
well,
was,
she had the ability to remote control other, like detached nano thing, because she could control other machines. So she infected the Schwarzenegger Terminator, and
yeah,
she could control cop cars. And I'm like, no, you can't. I mean, you could remotely turn them on and off, and do a couple other things, but there's literally no mechanism to steer or brake.
yeah,
You have to have something physical moving the wheel or the steering column and depressing the brake. That's not controlled by a computer. Now there are cars today that would do that. Back in 2003 or whenever the heck that was,
yeah,
no, that's not how those cars work. But
yeah.
whatever. So I don't know. Do you think Schwarzenegger is Terminator Schwarzenegger, or like the human that the T-800s were based on?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's like,
Sergeant Candy.
is Terminator, or did Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator survive Genesis? I forget. Um,
I didn't see it, so I don't know.
Okay. I'm just trying to remember if he survived Genesis or not. I think no. I think he got turned into a liquid metal Terminator, like at the end of
Huh?
the film, which was, yeah. I don't know. It was, I kind of, I there the plot of Genesis was just so bad and confusing that I can't even remember half of it. All
Well,
I remember
also,
is John Connor became a Terminator himself.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
also Mackenzie Davis spot. Uh, she thinks she's human, but she's at least partially machine.
Yeah.
Okay, cool, but didn't we already do that in
In
Salvation?
Salvation,
I mean, that
yeah.
the main gimmick of that movie, where the Blandy McBlanderton, whatever, whichever dude was the dude in that, um, he's like, "Oh, I'm a human. No, you look down, buddy. You're a machine. Oh no, I'm a machine."
Yeah,
So, like, maybe they're like, "It was a great idea, but the movie sucks, so we're gonna do it good this time."
maybe. Yeah.
And maybe they'll knock it out of the park. I don't know. It's got robots in it that shoot at each other. It's probably entertaining, at least on that basic level.
Yeah, I just hope they don't screw it up like they did with the Alien movies. I forget what those ones.
Prometheus and Covenant.
Prometheus and Covenant, yeah.
See those?
Those, you haven't seen them. They were both pretty bad. Well, no, I've only seen Prometheus. I haven't seen Covenant.
I
So,
heard Covenant was better.
yeah, that's what I heard, but it's still not Alien or Aliens level good. So,
Yeah. So okay, so yeah, new Terminator. Hey, I'm down. I kind of feel like I should watch Salvation and Genesis. Um,
No, you shouldn't.
No.
You will be perfectly fine if you never watch them.
I mean, I looked and I saw Salvation was on Netflix, but it's leaving on June 1st. I was like, I should watch that. And then I remembered I haven't finished season 8 of My Little Pony, so I've started watching episodes of that instead.
And Scotty
Scotty
J,
says
man,
RoboCop is better. Scotty's
RoboCop
correct.
is good. Yes,
The
RoboCop and
the
RoboCop
original, the
2.
the Paul Verhoeven one, not
Yeah.
the one that came out 5, 6 years ago whenever
No, no, that one was bad. But
that
yeah,
yeah
RoboCop and RoboCop 2 were both pretty good. The first one was really good. The second one was good, but
had some good
not as
stuff
good.
in it.
Yeah.
Didn't had a lot of great ideas, A for effort, but didn't quite nail the landing.
Yeah, RoboCop 3 was just
Just pretty
absolutely
bad.
bad. And then they had a RoboCop TV miniseries or something like
Prime
that.
Directives or
Prime
something.
Directives,
Yeah,
yeah.
that was, I liked
Eh,
it. I enjoyed
Yeah,
that one.
I tried watching it again recently because it's on Amazon Prime, but man, is it so 90s, and I couldn't make it past the first 10 minutes of it.
Mhm.
It was that bad. I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch this. Because I don't, I'm just like, I don't have time to watch stuff that I'm gonna have to like force myself to watch, just because I do remember some bits of Prime Directives because I believe I watched it when it was first aired on television.
As did
I don't.
what
Yeah.
sticks out to me is RoboCop is 10 years old and now at this point, and he's essentially obsolete. He's starting to rust and fall apart, and he's trying to find new replacement parts, and he can't because they're just too old.
Yeah,
So
OCD
he's
is.
obsolete technology
Yeah.
now, and he can't find any replacement parts. I remember that. And I remember the big upgrade to the new RoboCop they have in that movie is like this one has a gun in the other leg. He has a gun in both legs. It's like okay, and he's like
Yeah.
a darker shade of gray, I think, and he plays
Yeah.
chess. Anyway, all right, moving on. So Sonic, Sonic the Hedgehog. Okay, so
Oh man.
okay. So Jeff Fowler, director of the ill-fated Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Last we heard, Sega and Paramount released the trailer for Sonic. Everyone said, "Oh my God, that looks awful," and so does Sonic. Um, and then it was announced that they're going to rework the Sonic design. And then a lot of people said, that's great and everything, but try not to, murder all of your the
Visual effects
production
artists.
company that and the producers and everyone who's working on that, because this stuff takes time unless this is like a scam and you've been working on it for several months already. Well, Jeff Fowler took to Twitter to say that, hey, we're taking a little more time to make Sonic just right. Hashtag no VFX artists were harmed in the making of this movie. And it has a picture of Sonic's hand and arm holding up a sign that says February 14th, 2020. I think it was originally like November 8th or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, it was
Taking
originally
another 3
November.
months, which kind of sounds like they're dumping it in January, February. But maybe they think that
Yeah.
they'll get a little extra Valentine's Day love.
I think they're shooting for because November and December are typically heavy movie times. Like
Yep,
people, that those are
that's
the
the end of
time.
the year award season, and Star Wars is
Yeah,
coming out. So
yeah, and so they're like, you know what, we're already getting enough hate and flack with with just the trailer out. It's like why bother putting our film out during the prime time of the year to release a film? Let's take a little bit extra time to fix some of these flaws and put it out in a quieter time of the year. There's no Avengers coming out next year. There's no big films coming out at that time of the year. So let's put it in Valentine's Day.
so I
Maybe they
just
can get some
looked up
people to go out on a date for it.
yeah, so I just looked up what's releasing that weekend. Um,
Hmm.
on February 14th, 2020, the Birds of Prey movie and the fantabulous whatevers of
Emancipation of Harley
Emancipation of
Quinn.
Harley Quinn. That one that comes out the week before, so that will be in its second weekend.
Okay.
But launching the same for now anyway. This is all subject to change. Launching the same weekend is the new Kingsman movie, which is going to be a prequel, and some untitled Warner Brothers event film #3. It's listed as. So I would guess that's, well, who the hell knows? Could be a DC movie. Could
Yeah.
could be anything.
Yeah. So I think it's a good weekend to release a family film because
Yeah.
there's
It depends on what that untitled WB movie is, but
I don't know.
yeah, it looks like they're okay so far.
Yeah.
Um, so they've got an extra 3 months. My guess is Sonic is not going to look radically different. Like I don't think, because I don't think they, unless they started on this a long time ago, I just don't think they have the time to remodel, re-rig, reanimate, putz around with all the little hairs on his face, relight, re everything, an entire new character in all the scenes in the film. But I look at this tweet and I notice that where'd I put it? I put the tweet somewhere. So I look at this tweet and I notice that the hand holding it is gloved. So
Yeah.
my prediction is the sum total of changes is they just put gloves on Sonic. Now Sonic now has gloves. He has white gloves instead of white furred hands. And honestly, that would not surprise me. That seems like something they could do in a few
Yeah.
months. You know, because it's just something you're adding to the model. It's like, yeah, we could put gloves on him. We could make the shoes more traditionally Sonic, because I know people were like, those are the wrong shoes. How do you get the shoes wrong? I mean, it's a real simple design. Just do this, and it's fine. So,
Yeah. Well, and which you bring that up, and it's funny because I was looking at some of the replies, and it's like the fourth reply down was somebody took that image and replaced the date with "he has gloves now."
oh, yeah, okay,
And
yeah.
that's great.
So, yeah.
Uh,
Now, I also, so this hashtag, no VFX artists were harmed in the making of this movie. Um, that it it comes off as a little flippant to me.
yeah, I
I
think so.
I do. I'm absolutely willing to give Mr. Fowler the benefit of the doubt that is not how he intended it. Um, but it does, just the fact that he hashtag no
Yeah,
it comes off as a little flippant to me.
because that was a very valid concern that people
Yeah,
raised, and yeah, to kind of make light of that, at least in that way, um, kind of comes across as yeah, we get it, guys. Come on, leave us alone now, type thing. Um, I'm glad that he's you know letting people
is enough.
know that they heard the concerns about crunch and everything, and that going to try to not make their visual effects artists kill themselves over this film.
Yeah.
But yeah, they could have had a little more tact in when they addressing that.
Yeah, I don't think we need to rake him over the coals or anything.
No, definitely not.
I was more curious about, am I alone? It comes off as flippant to me. And anybody else? Just me? Just me? Wasn't sure if it read the same way to anybody else. So.
Oh, it did. That was one of the things that I've seen in a response to this, is that a lot of people are just like, yeah, that seems a little crass, a little flippant, but yeah.
All right. Well, we actually have more topics to talk about, but they're kind of in depth, and it's already 8 o'clock. So maybe we
Yeah.
want to save the World Health Organization and the government legislating loot boxes and microtransactions to next week.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay. Because E3 is not this week, right? So yeah, okay. So I think
Yeah, we're still a couple weeks away from E3, so we're good there.
yeah. I'm spending E3 week babysitting workmates' cats. So
All right.
so that's so I guess I'm gonna have to. I'll be just hanging out with her cats on my laptop, watching all the new videos. Oh God, I hope she has Wi-Fi. Oh, I better get her Wi-Fi password. I'm gonna have a really bad week. April, I need your Wi-Fi password. So,
Yeah.
so okay, I think that's where we will call it for the night. I actually would like to talk about the proposed legislation for loot boxes and microtransactions. We'll definitely try to hit that next week. It's just if we start talking about it now, we'll probably go an hour on it because it's just
Yeah, it's a pretty heavy topic, so.
yeah, yeah. So Um, so all right, let's close the show. Hey everyone, thanks for hanging out with us for the hour, and we actually kept it to an hour at this time. We haven't done that in a while. Hope you're all having a lovely Memorial Day. Yeah, we'll just drop a syllable. It's fine. Memorial Day weekend, which I learned about yesterday. Like, oh, it's always great on a Friday when you learn you have a 3-day weekend. It's great.
Yeah, it's
So
always
Andrew
nice.
Eisen here, Eisen is how you spell the last name. Plug it into Twitter I'm sorry, YouTube, and you'll find my YouTube stuffs. And then same thing at Andrew Eisen on Twitter. Zachary, plug away.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter at Easy Night, where I talk about gaming, politics, and other things that catch my interest. And if you're interested in my game development work, check out DK_gaming on Twitter and DivineKnightGaming.com. And if you're interested in the Oklahoma game development scene, check out OK Game Devs on Twitter and OKGameDev.com.
All right, that's it for 146, which is the number of this episode of the Molehill Mountain podcast. Oh my gosh, I just totally got away from me there. Um, Chaos has to work next Friday to make up for getting tomorrow off. Wouldn't you have to work on a Friday anyway? Unless you have a different schedule. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry you have to make up a holiday day with another day. That sucks. I'm still trying to figure out if I'm going on another business trip later in June. Um, and I have a friend who's like, "When are you coming to visit me?" And I said, "I don't know, because I'm house sitting for 9 days, and then I may be going to Ohio for a week." And it's like, "Well, are you?" I don't know. The is Andrew going or not needle has been waving back and forth for a week and a half now. I have no idea. Oh, you're a Sunday through Thursday person. Okay, cool. Anyway, that's it for we did plug our
Yeah,
stuff, right?
we
Okay.
did plug. Yeah.
So we are good. We are out of here. We will see you next week. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
See ya.